Imagine your business not just surviving, but thriving. Your wealth locked in, your opportunities exploding, and your family's future built on a legacy that never fades. I'm Leah Garcia, a financial strategist and insurance professional. I help entrepreneurs and high-growth enterprises protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth through my proven system, the Wall of Wealth. I unite your experts into one cohesive strategy, because the most expensive line on your balance sheet isn't debt or taxes, it's conflicting advice. Ready to align every dollar with your mission and turn today's success into tomorrow's divine promise. Wealth today, dynasty tomorrow.
Happy Wealthy Wednesday. We are live. Come on in, champions. Come on in. We are live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn, and we are live on my YouTube channel, The Dynasty Builder 93940. Come on in. I am so excited about today. I actually woke up at 3 o'clock this morning just ruminating and excited. I guess ruminating isn't the right word, but just really excited about how this was going to go. I believe this is going to be life-changing for someone today, and probably that person is going to be me. We're going to be talking about beyond personality. So come on in. Get your fuzzy bunny slippers, grab something to drink. I've got my coconut water today. I don't know, I've been on this coconut water kick. I'm telling you, I've been loving my coconut water. I think I'm going to change my coffee chats to a coconut chat, and I think that'll add a little bit of fun to it. So you know me, I always got to do everything different. I go against the grain in almost everything. I'm not really sure. Call that just who I am. I'm always looking for the opposite. Like, how can I flip this? How can I make this better? What can I do to upgrade it? And today is no different at all. I'm going to tell you, we're going to be talking about DISC personality. Now, you may have heard this before, and I know there are a lot of different types of personality tests. I really love the DISC, and I'm going to tell you why. I actually, in my career, I interact with about anywhere between 60 and 80 different carriers on a weekly basis. Okay, all different types of strategies and such. And a few of those carriers, I really resist having clients enroll in those products, because it's not just about the product or what it does, but it's also that long term. How will the clients be treated if I'm not available or if they have a question? And some carriers really don't treat my clients very well. They don't treat me very well. So I know they don't treat clients very well. So that's really important to me. And there is one carrier that I adore. I'm not going to say who they are, but I really love the product. I love the people. I love everything about them. And then I learned that they use DISC in their interactions with each other and with us as agents, and also with the clients. And that really stuck out to me. I understood why they're so good at what they do. I understood why I felt so personal with them. I understood why they really understand me. Every product carrier that I call from this company, they already know me. They understand before we talk business. I'm going to ask them about their kids. I'm going to find out what's going on. Like, I'm the relationship person, right? So that's definitely one of my strong suits. And so I want to know about them. Who am I dealing with? What's going on? How you doing? How you really doing? So I think today is going to be an incredible conversation. Our topic today is beyond personality, using DISC to unlock self-awareness, influence, and lasting impact. How many of you want to be more self-aware? I know I do. I'm putting my hand up. How about, do you want to have more influence? You know, influence is power. Influence isn't just about being an influencer and having lots of likes and videos. Influence can be, how do you influence your precious grandchildren to eat their vegetables? Right? Influence could be, how do you get the best bang for your buck when you go into the store? How do you influence that salesperson to help you find the best product, right? Influence is not just in our career. It's just not on social media. It's how we interact with one another. And so that's why I actually was so excited when my guest speaker agreed to come back. We had another talk, and then I learned that she specializes in this. I said, oh, absolutely. We got to have her on. So without further ado, I know this is going to be a fun one, you guys. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're excited. Invite somebody that you know needs to hear this. share them with somebody, invite somebody. Your comments actually help to get this out to more people. So if you know somebody who's an entrepreneur, business owner, they want to have influence, they want to have more abundance, they want to have more self-awareness, invite them to this incredible conversation. So Miss Merlin brings over 30 years of powerhouse experience in business and leadership and personal transformation, helping individuals organize, grow, and lead and truly flourish. From leadership development and performance coaching to entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and the DISC behavior analysis, her work goes far beyond personality. It's about alignment and awareness and impact. She's a host of Let It Go and Flourish podcast, inspired by her book of the same name, and the author of a second transformational resource, Daily Planner Designs to Guide Growth with Intention. A distinguished Toastmaster, DTM, and former speaker with Toastmasters International, she's mastered the art of communication and leadership at the highest level. She's also a contributing voice as a moderator and facilitator for Maxwell Leadership Foundation and Leading Powerful Purpose, driving conversations that create real change. Her mission is simple and powerful: to help people grow into who they were created to be, personally, professionally, and purposefully. Rooted with integrity and impact, gratitude and service, Miss Merlin doesn't just teach growth, she lives it. Without further ado, please bring to the stage my incredible guest speaker, Miss Merlin Clark. Thank you so much. It's great to see you here on Wealthy Wednesday. How you doing, my love?
Hello, Leah, and hello to your amazing audience. Thanks for having me. I am excited about being here today. I love talking about discs. I love talking about connections and relationships because that's what it's all about. You know?
Yeah, for sure. How did you get into this? Because you've done a lot of things, obviously. How did you really get introduced to the DISC personality?
Okay, so I am a member of the John Maxwell team of certified speakers, trainers, and coaches. And when I signed up for that program, I was introduced to DISC, that I can include that as part of my certification. And I said, why not? Because when they explained to me what it was, I took the test. My program advisor gave me the test. And when he reviewed the report with me, I said, this is something I would like to do with my clients. And I do that for each coaching relationship because I want to know more about them. It's about self-awareness.
Yeah. And self-awareness. Let's talk about what is self-awareness?
You need to, that's a great question. You need to know who you are before you grow. In order to grow, you need to know who you are and where you are, because it's like a GPS system. If you need to get to a certain place, you must first put in that GPS where you are currently. What's your current location? Before it can give you instructions on how to get where you need to go. So you need to know who you are. Where are you on your growth path? So that I can help you. It's knowing who you are, where you are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because I want to know both. When I know your strengths, I can help you to lean into those strengths. And when I learn what your weaknesses are, then we help you develop those weaknesses, work on them so that you could be the best version of who you were created to be. You know, Leah, there are two most important days in our lives: the day we were born, and the second day is when we discover why we're here. Why are you here? So you need to know who you are, who you were created to be, and who you're going to help with your strengths, with your gifts.
Absolutely. So much wisdom in there. And for me, when I first started, heard of DISC, it's been probably 10 years, and I'm by no means an expert. Okay. I've taken some classes. I share the concept with my team. But early in life, I was definitely more striving for more dominance. As a young child growing up in, poverty and just not having control of a lot of things, I was really looking for control. What could I do to control my life? And so that did not really serve me really well in some ways. And I'm not saying that's not good to be dominance, but for me, it was coming from it was the wrong place. And so when I really started to learn about DISC, I'm like, okay, I don't really want to be that. Like, that's not real natural for me. It was more something I was doing because I was searching to control something, right? So I want you to talk about that. But I do want to welcome some people. We've got some people who've joined us. I want to welcome a few people. We have Miss Gita Girl on YouTube. She is the urban gypsy. Listen, I am a gypsy at heart. I always keep a suitcase in my car because I never know where I'm going to end up. At a spur of the moment notice, I may need to be somewhere. And so I've just got warm clothes. Hey, you know what? You just do what you do. So great to see you, my Gita Girl. I know you're going to have some great questions. She always brings some great insight. She's incredibly insightful, intuitive is her middle name. And she's talking about hydration. Oh my goodness. Yes, let's do it. And we also have, I don't know how, welcome. I don't want to butcher your name, but welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you're new here, this is your opportunity. If you are new here, that I invite you to share what you do. This is a place for you to network, get to know some of the people who are here. They're entrepreneurs, business owners. Look for some collaborations. Let people know what you got going on. What do you have? Do you have a YouTube? Do you have an ebook coming up? And yes, that's right. My third parties are an extension of my brand. Absolutely. I want to know that my clients are well taken care of, and that is super important to me. So even though when there's something that may be a few dollars less, I will put it to my client. I will put it to them. Does this matter more or does this matter more? And usually they're fine paying the higher price because they understand the difference. I crave customer service. I don't know about any of you, but I absolutely crave customer service. And then we have the one and only Mr. Mic Drop is in the house. David Jones on the Hello LLC. You see all this incredible stuff that I have. I don't do any of this. This is my incredible team. They make me look good. They created my Biz in a Box, which is so much more than a website. It's an interactive, custom experience. So if you want to see some free financial tools, go onto my Biz in a Box. And if you don't want free financial tools, that's okay. Check it out because their work is incredible. I'm telling you, they really know how to put it together. Him and Miss Tara, absolutely. So what would you say about, I've heard that, your personality is permanent. And then I've heard other things where they say that you can evolve and grow. I love Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he says that personality is not permanent. And that's what really gave me hope because I didn't like that dominance in me. And I'm not saying it's not good to be dominant. I have some of my best friends are dominant. I adore them. I love their strength, their decision making and things. So what would you say to that?
Okay, you're correct. Our personality is not permanent. But let's talk about what shapes our personality for us to understand that. There are 3 factors that shape our personality, and that is heredity. So from birth, there are distinct patterns of behavior. You see a little baby, and as the baby grows, you see certain behaviors. And then the environment. Our environment will impact our style. In fact, life experiences, especially emotionally charged ones in our developmental years, can have a big impact on our personality style. So a child who may be very outgoing, love life, big personality, if that child experiences trauma, that child's personality can change. You will notice the child becoming more introverted. They don't speak up as they used to. And that's why we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention and see what changes there are and investigate. So heredity, environment, And also, let's say someone has a strong, dominant personality, but then they go through a very traumatic divorce. That too can make a shift in your personality. Any life-changing event can cause a shift in your personality. All right. And then, so we talk about the heredity, environment, and the third is role models. There are role models in our lives who teach us what is valuable or who may even reward us for certain behaviors to reinforce those behaviors within us. And each of these three factors contributes to the makeup of who we are. And nobody's personality is wrong. Many people said, oh, you have such a strong personality. You're too dominant. Nobody is too anything. It's how we are wired. And what I love about DISC, and when I teach DISC, I coach people on how to make the adjustment because you're going to encounter people with different personality style. Some may be dominant, some may be introverted, but we live in this place and we need to build connections. We are relational. Human beings are relational. And to have relationships, we need to connect with people. But if we're not able to adjust how we communicate, then we're not going to build strong, lasting relationships. They're not going to last. We may keep dominating when we need to just step back a little based on that, what we have observed in that person's personality. We may be too introverted and we may need to make a shift and speak up more because the occasion requires that of us. And that's one of the things that I want people to understand. Your personality is not etched in stone. It's not it's not permanent. You can, once you understand your personality style and you observe other people's communication style, you need to learn how to adjust your style when you're in that space with other people with the various style. And that is why DISC is so amazing for the workplace, because the workplace, we have people on the teams who are made up of different personality styles, different communication styles. And if we don't adjust our style based on what's going on around us, that's when we have conflicts on the teams.
Yeah. Absolutely. So many situations as you're talking, I'm just thinking of different situations and making different connections. I want to highlight Ms. Jackie Holberg. Thank you for joining us. She hosts our Just Jack. She's a community builder. She's actually on a quest to donate a kidney. I just think that's incredible. That is one of the most difficult surgeries you can go through. Thank you so much for being here, Jackie. I appreciate you. I love her voice. I mean, we're going to schedule, I want her to read me a bedtime story, although it may not be the story she thinks it is. Okay. I read a lot of nonfiction stuff. We're just going to leave it there, but that's the stuff that I love. Anyway, great to see you. Yeah. I'm thinking of so many different things as you're talking, and that makes a lot of sense, is that it could be hereditary, experience, and role models. And I could think directly of experiences when I really made decisions of, okay, this is what I need to be here. Sometimes I call it being the S. Some people need to always be the smartest, the prettiest, the most wonderfulest person in the room all the time. Like, I don't have to be that. I can be the Indian. I can be the chief. I can be sweeping the floors. Like, I'm not too proud to do anything. Okay. So if somebody loves to be the S, and I just think that their strong suit is there, I'm totally okay taking another backseat. And I had somebody who noticed that, because I don't think that I ever articulated it. I just felt like, you know what, there's something here that I could do. They're great at what they're doing. Let them do that. I can do something here. And somebody noticed that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Somebody brought that to my attention a few years ago. Like I said, it wasn't something I was doing I don't even think I really knew too much about DISC at that time. I just felt like I could do something to fill another role. And so they thought of it like a weakness. And I really thought about that. They're like, well, you know what? You could have done that better than them, or you should have gave that presentation. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe they needed to practice it, right? Maybe there was somebody in the audience who needed to hear it from them. And
Yeah.
I really did some soul searching to think if I was kind of, I don't know, really even know how to articulate it, but I felt like they were saying, you are kind of dumbing yourself down so somebody else looks good. I'm like, I don't see it that way because I didn't feel in competition. What would you share about that, Miss Merlin?
It's not a matter of dumbing yourself down. You are making some adjustments. Because when we present, when we speak, it's important to know our audience. That is so key. When you know your audience, you know how to show up. You know how to show up. You know, okay, maybe I need to step back a little, or maybe I need to speak up some more. It's about what's happening right there. It's being able to read the room and make your adjustments, right? And that is why it is so important to understand exactly what DISC does for us. What is it? What does it do for us? And I want to share the 5 benefits of DISC. We talk about self awareness. It raises self awareness, it improves teamwork, it makes conflict more productive, it develops stronger sales skills, and it helps you manage more effectively. Right? And I'm going to go back on that. But it is an acronym that stands for the 4 main personalities profiles described in the DISC model. D for dominance, because I know you shared about being a D or an S or whatever. D for dominance. The I is for influence. The S is for steadiness. And the C is for conscientiousness. That person is very compliant. And I want to break down what each of these mean so that people can understand better. This is when leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners understand what it actually does to know how can it help my team improve? How can I use this to make sure I'm hiring the best person for the team? Because oftentimes somebody does not get hired and said, well, I'm qualified. Why didn't they hire me? It may have nothing to do with your certifications, your credentials. It may have to do with your personality. Is this person going to be a good fit for the current team? Nothing to do with your credibility or your qualifications. If I put this person here, if I'm looking for a leader, someone who's going to take control, I may need to get someone who is decisive. I may need to get someone who speaks up more. So each person has values that they bring to the team. But once the senior leader understands what these strengths are, then you can know where to place them. There's so many different scenarios. And so the people with a D personality, they tend to be confident and they emphasize accomplishing bottom line results. These individuals make up 3% of the population. Their bottom line, they're very decisive, they're direct in their communication. And you know what? They tell you that. They will, in a conversation, they will say, I'm directing my conversation and I'm correct. I've never met anyone who did not say that to me. I'm directing my communication and I'm correct. They usually will let you know they are correct. And it makes 3% of the population. And I'm going to expand on that some more. People with an I personality tend to be more open and they place an emphasis on relationships and influencing and persuading others. Now, these individuals, they make excellent salespeople. They have that persuasion skills. They persuade others to make decisions. They're very influential. So when you know that, you will know, will this person be good in sales or not? If you're looking for someone for a sales position and someone comes in there and they're very conscientious, but they're not very outgoing and relational, you may want to think twice about that. Now, those with the S personality tend to be dependable. They place an emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. They're very loyal. They're good team players, excellent team players, very empathetic. And they don't like to make decisions alone. They like to do it as a team. They consult with others. All right. And people with the C personality, they tend to place an emphasis on quality assurance, accuracy, expertise, and competency. So these people, they love numbers. They're good planners. They're organized. And if you're looking for someone for your IT team, that's someone you want to get. Very detail oriented. They do a report for you. I'm not saying don't check it, but 99.99% of the time, it's going to be accurate. Very detail oriented. Those are their strengths that I've just shared with you. And there's more.
Yeah, I love that. And every time I hear that, I think of something different in my own personality, trying to increase my own awareness. Definitely, I have some of all of them except C. Listen, a lot of people think, oh, Leah, you're so good with numbers. No, we have calculators. Okay. We have systems that do that. I'm the active person. That's why I do this show standing up. I cannot have these kind of energetic conversations sitting down. I don't know how people do that. Like, I need to be moving in this new office. I've got all this space. I used to be in this little corner. It was so difficult for me because I just couldn't like really move around. And here I could dance for you, you know? So bringing out the different parts of our personality in different situations, is that something that is intuitive, or do you think that's something we have to learn?
Well, like I said, your personality is shaped by 3 different things: heredity, environment, or role models. So it could be from any of those 3. However, some people need to be coached and trained in making those adjustments. Because of your personality type, you're in this position, and there needs to be some changes. But because you're so rigid in who you are, you have on the team. So they need to. And what DISC does, it helps you to understand other people's communication style, but it also shows you how to adjust your style and say, when you're communicating with someone of this style, this is how you need to do. For example, if I'm in sales, I'm selling something, and someone comes in, I pick up that they're very dominant in their personality. I pick up that they're very direct. I don't do small talks. I'm not doing small talks. They don't appreciate that. They're very direct. They're a bottom line people. Cut through the chase and get to the bottom line. I'm interested in this. What does it do? How much does it cost? And they make a decision.
Right.
Where someone who is an I, very influential, very relational, they want to have conversations, small talk. Well, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I'm going on this trip and I'm doing. You allow them. You allow them to do their small talks. That's how they are wired. And then you bring them back in to why they were there. And something we need to understand with the I personalities, they have short attention span.
Yes.
They have a very short attention span. So when I'm communicating with someone with an I personality type, I don't have a 40-minute meeting with them. I have maybe 4 10-minute, 4 short meetings. Then I follow up with an email, something in writing to reinforce the discussion because they have a short attention span. And they're very talkative. They love people. They're people oriented. You're having a conversation at a party with them and they see someone else come in. I got to go say hi to that person. They work the room, but that's how they are wired. And so you need them in certain environments. They'll be great at a party. You host an event, you have a conference, they're great there to mingle, gather information. That's what they do. It's who they are. Now, our S's, they're introverted, they're loyal, they're sincere. They don't always speak up when they need to. And here's a drawback. Let's say you have a group of people on a project. You give clear instructions. Before you leave the meeting, you said, are there any questions? Does anyone need clarification? The S person may not be clear on what you want, but they won't speak up. And so when they go and they start doing their part, and down the road, when you regroup, something is off. Well, I thought this is what you meant. But why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you ask a question? Or they may observe another member of the team doing something that may not be required. And you waste all that time. Instead of saying something, you let it go because you don't want to be judged. Let it go because you don't speak up. And many times they don't even speak up to defend themselves. And that's where we need to coach those people to speak up more, be more assertive. There's a difference between aggressive and assertive. And people confuse those two. Now, the D's have a tendency to be aggressive because they're dominant. They want to take control. They just come in and they don't even ask questions about what's going on. They just come in with their opinions and that's it. My opinion is what is going on today. That's aggression. Whereas you come in and you say, okay, where are we? Where are we stuck? Well, let's do this. What do you think? So sometimes you need to adjust and get other people's opinion, other people's input to have a more cohesive team. And this is where I tell people that DISC helps resolve conflict on teams, but it also helps to drive revenue. And you say, well, how is that? In communication, across industry, effective communication has declined. People are not speaking up when they should. Some people are aggressive in their tone. There's no clarity. People are not listening actively to understand what's going on. They respond before they get the full gist of what's going on. They offer opinion before they listen completely. And when you do that, you cut people off. The team is not acting cohesively. You're not communicating effectively with each other, internal communication. And if you're not communicating effectively with your internal teams, the question I ask, how do you communicate with your clients? Because if you don't know how to adjust your tone with your team members, if you don't do that, how are you going to adjust your tone with your clients if you're always right? The people who are giving you the business, do you adjust your tone with them? Do you ask them for clarification to make sure you're delivering what they require of you? Here's something, a quote that I love from Zig Ziglar. If you give the people more of what they want, they will give you what you want. It's give and take. Ask for clarification. Be an active listener. Listen more before you speak up.
Hmm.
Because if you don't do that, you can lose referrals from those clients. You may not get repeat business. Aren't you losing revenue? You're losing revenue. They're not repeating business with you, and they're not referring anyone to you because you were rude to them. You did not respect them. You get their business, but you treat it as a one and done. And here's the thing, it's one and done. They're not coming back because you don't know how to adjust your communication style with them. So, communication is so important. And that is why you need to understand your style, other people's style, and know when to adjust. Someone with a C style, they're conscientious, they're excellent planners, they're detail oriented, conscientious, they're task oriented. They're not so much people oriented, they're task oriented, and they love details. You connect with them more, the more information you give them, the better you connect with them. Because relationships are built when you know how to communicate effectively. And there's a book from John Maxwell that I read and I teach from. I do my communication mastermind from it. It's called Everybody Communicates, Few Connect. So the sad thing about communication is that when you think you're actually communicating and you're not, you're talking, but are you making a connection? Communication does not take place until you make a connection.
That's a gold bar. I love it. Underline that one, write it down, put a gold star. We're going to clip that for sure. I want to welcome a few more people who've joined us. We have the amazing Miss Christy D. Williams. She's our customer service extraordinaire. I know that she probably knows all of this or intuitively knows all this because she's an incredible customer service. And I also want to welcome my good friend, Miss Nick Angai Galindo. She is the brilliance behind guiding brilliant writers. If you are looking to publish a book, or even if you're not looking to publish a book, if you have a story in you, they say everyone has a story. I do believe that. Please reach out to my good friend, Miss Nick. She will definitely help you to fine tune that. I actually just I'm sending one of my clients to her. We're doing their living trust and they want to make their family story. So I said, you know what? I got the perfect person for you. So I'm really, really excited to have her meet them and what she's going to bring out because their story really is pretty incredible. Yeah, there's so much that brings this up. And if you have any questions, put it in the chat. We have our incredible guest speaker here, and she would be happy to answer your questions. So for me, these are some of the things that I do for myself. Like most of my clients are going to be dominance and probably even a lot conscientious C. Okay, so my dominance, I know I got to get the paperwork, I got to highlight, I got to draw circles, underline what they're supposed to see. They see the biggest parts, they're good to go, right? My compliance person, I got to print out every single page, every single diagram, all the different things, and they just love that. They adore it. Yes. My steadiness people, that's the one I'm not sure about. My I people relationship. Before we get to the paperwork, we got to talk about their family, their friends, but I got to understand that attention span is short. So even though they want to go along, sometimes we have to reset, grab a cup of coffee. Do you need a potty break? Okay, great. And we'll come back and we'll, finish up and I send them the stuff and then we get that summary. My steadiness people, I'm not sure though. What is something that I could do when it comes to paperwork? I'm asking my own personal question. If you guys are going to ask, I'm going to ask a personal question for me. So what would you say for steadiness person?
So your steadiness people, they're excellent team players. They're stable. They're secure. They're secure. They're reserved. You can always count on them. They're good listeners. Yes, you want paperwork and you want them to sign paperwork. So you may want to explain things to them because they're great listeners. Explain the benefits, the importance of what they should be doing because they love to listen. They're very sentimental. Then you can give them the paperwork to sign. They're very good listeners and they're very supportive. And the thing with the S's, whereas the D's, you know that the D's and the I's, they have strong personalities. And whereas they start the projects and lead the S-wired team members, they do the admin work. They do the work to make that happen. They make it happen. They make it happen. On the quadrant of the D-I-S-C, the S's and the D's are opposite in their personality style. The I's and the C's are opposite. Whereas the C's, conscientious, very reserved, they're introverted, and they want a lot of information. The I's, on the other hand, they're people oriented, they're influential, they're always out there, big and bold, and they're bright yellow. They're opposite. So whereas the D's rely on the S's to make things happen for them. So the S's are very important, even though they may not speak up when they need to. You love to have an S on your team because they will work hard to make whatever you started, they will make it happen. They follow through, right? The thing, they are resistant to change. They don't like changes. They don't like changes. They resist it. They have a problem saying no, and they often need reassurance. Now, I know this very well because when I did my DISC assessment the first time, I came up, my profile was SCI combination. S, very steady, stable, loyal. All of those things, I said, dang, this thing is on point. People say this about me, having a problem saying no. Then the C part, conscientious, detail-oriented. I am relational. I love working with people. My degree is in human resources management. I love working with people. I absolutely love that. So SCI. But when I started my business and I got more involved, here's where you prove that your personality doesn't stay the same. Life events change you. When I took the personality test 3 years later, it's no longer SCI. It's ISC. The I comes first. I'm out there going after people, going after the clients, more relational, building those client relationships. Here's the thing I want to share about the combinations of ISC, SCI, or CSI. Any combination of ISC or CSI. You notice I didn't mention anything about the D's in that. We know that the D's are dominant. They can be aggressive. They take control. When individuals with a combination of SCI or ISC, when they are pushed to the limits, their behavior can be stronger than a D. When they're pushed to the limits, their behavior can be stronger than a D. Life events, they're in a situation where they have to make a decision quickly. Something is on fire in the business. They're no longer reserved or any of that. They're direct, decisive, stronger than a D. Any combination of ISC, CIS, CSI. Yeah.
I love that. So don't get confused. We're not talking about CSI like crime shows. Okay, then we're talking about the DISC personality. I want to welcome Great Finances Coach Carrie. Great to see you here. She did an incredible teaching on Mind Over Matter Mondays. Coach Carrie, if you could put the replay in, people should see that. It was an amazing show with our Queen Leslie Flowers. Amazing 1-2 combination. Yeah, it's really that evolution and accepting, and then knowing where we feel most comfortable. And then, like you said, we all got strengths and weaknesses. How can we highlight those strengths? And then what can we do to overcome or even just adapt to our weaknesses? I would love for you to talk about how, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening to your question. Go ahead.
I would love for you to talk about what does this have to do with money? Like, how does this all relate to our finances? I know my opinion, but I want to hear from the expert. How does this relate to how we handle our money, what our beliefs are about money, what we want with our money? How does this DISC all play a part in that?
So how does DISC relate to, this is Wealthy Wednesday. How does this tie into wealth? Understanding your communication style, understanding what you bring to the table, how you communicate with your clients, your team members. Because when you communicate effectively with your team members, you're showing that you value them. You're building stronger teams. Because you're communicating effectively with them, you're adjusting your communication style. You resolve the conflicts that may be on the team when you don't understand why this person is behaving this way. Why do they behave that way? Why do they take over? And when people learn to adjust their style and know that, okay, it's not just my opinion, it's what's best for the team. And you build stronger, cohesive teams. People come together, they work more cohesively. When they work more cohesively, they perform better. You will see a change in their performance, their engagement. And when that happens, you're going to see improved productivity. And when productivity improves, performance increases.
Ooh.
And then that results in increased revenue for your company. Because if the team is not working cohesively, they're not showing up with the best version of who they are. You're going to have all these conflicts. You're always putting out fires. But when they understand how they communicate with each other and adjust, knowing when to delegate, when to step back, when to let someone else speak up, you're working cohesively. You're engaging. They feel valued. They feel seen, not you always taking over, being dominant all the time. And then they show up. They're producing more. And when they do that, their contribution is significant. Performance improves. That results in increased revenue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would ask you this, although Coach Carrie has a question I definitely want you to address. Can we replace family with team?
How do you?
Could we replace the word, I'm just curious, can we replace the word team with family? Like, in other words, does this have the same impact with our family?
Absolutely. How you communicate with each other, your household. For example, you have two spouses. Coach Carrie, she knows the way to her grandmother's house. She's been there several times. Yet, someone is riding with her who's been there a couple times, but he chooses to give her directions. You know, that backseat driver? Take over, turn left, turn right. When you get up there, make a right turn, whatever. And she's saying to herself, wait a minute, I drive to her house all the time. I don't need someone else to show me or tell me how to get there. But that person next to her is, sitting in the front, but is really the backseat driver, as we call them. That's how that person is wired. They got to take over and give directions, not thinking, well, she's been this down here all the time. But because I am in control, I have a tendency to be controlling, I'm going to direct this trip and how we should get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you've been in the back seat of some of my road trips.
No, I've not been in the backseat of some of your road trips, but so many people have shared this with me, And another thing, Coach Carrie, for example, you are on it's 4 of you in your family, 4 family members are in charge of planning the family reunion. Okay? Your cousin Paul has a dominant personality. You decided that he was going to research the venue, the hotel where you'll be staying. And then when you meet next, you discuss the cost of it and what the down payment should be. And you make a decision together, right? No. Paul visited the different venues, and the one that he liked, he blocked off some rooms and he left a deposit before coming back to you, the group, to decide together as a family. That's his personality. He doesn't mean any harm. Doesn't mean any harm, but that's just who he is. That's how he is wired. He's thinking, I'm going to save time with this back and forth. Should we or shouldn't we? Because the dominant personality style, the D, they're very decisive and they're very direct. Whereas if Coach Carrie had an S personality style, they like working together as a team. Even though she may have found one that she really likes, she's not going to make a decision until she comes back to the team and said, okay, here's what I found. I narrowed it down to these 3 or 4 and shows the pros and cons. And together they make a decision. Even though there's one that she really likes, she won't do that on her own. She comes back because she is a team player, the S personality style. So definitely, team members at work or in your family, you can use DISC.
That's perfect. Thank you. So let's answer Coach Carrie's question. Do you believe that we all have each letter, and you can tap into one that serves you where you are in life? Like, do we all have some dominance and some compliance and some influence and some steadiness? Do we all kind of have a mix and we kind of pull from there depending on what's going on?
Yes, one is more dominant than the other, but we all have a mixture of the different personality style. We all do. And I mentioned earlier that someone with that combination of ISC put in a situation where their back is against the wall, they will act like a D. They will act like a D. So it comes out. Here is the thing. With people who have one, because each dominant personality style has weaknesses and has strengths. The ideal situation is that when you are in a particular situation, is to learn how to adjust. That's the main thing. How do I adjust my style for this particular situation? Do I dial back? I'm reading the room. Do I dial back on my dominant personality? Do I speak up more because someone is depending on me, even though I'm an S and I have a tendency to not speak up even when I need to? They're depending on me to share this information with them. The team would benefit from this information for us to go forward. So you're forced to speak up and share your information. Coaching helps that, for them to understand that we all come to the table with these valuable gifts that God gave us. But we also have some, they say weaknesses, but I like to call them blind spots.
There you go.
Blind spots, that we need to get out of, work on these blind spots, but they need to be brought to the surface. And that's what DISC does. It helps to make you aware of your blind spots. And I've spoken to many people who said, DISC doesn't work. Here's the thing. When I ask the question, okay, you have taken a DISC assessment, you're given your report, and you're coached on what to do. At the end of that, what have you done? Did you do the work? The suggestions that were given, did you act on them? Or did you just take the assessment, you get your report, and you go about your business? If you did not act on those suggestions, then why did you bother to pay your money to take the assessment? Why? Awareness is key. It's about building your, making you more aware. So once you are aware, what are you going to do with that? That's what counts, is to make you a better version of yourself. You are here on earth for a purpose, and you can't live that purpose and serve who you were created to serve if you don't use your gifts, your strengths.
Yeah.
And those blind spots, don't undervalue them. Work on them. Work on them to make you better.
Absolutely. I love this comment by Great Finances, right? She says, people are excited to share their gifts at work when they feel valued. I agree. I totally agree. I love when you're talking about know your audience. And I would even formulate that when it comes to know the individual person. Maybe we are not speaking to an audience of 50, but maybe we're speaking to our precious grandchildren. And if we have a high D personality, we're not going to talk to that precious little 4-year-old and start barking orders at them. We got to pull from our influence and our steadiness and try to pull that out, or even bring those people into our lives that can kind of offset us. So understanding that is really, really key. And it does translate into more profit.
Yes, it does.
It's being more universally appealing. Like if we're always in, let's just say we're talking about high D, but it could be it could be any high. It could be the S being a high S. Mm-hmm. If you're always in your highest letter, then you're going to not be able to really help everyone. And I want to be able to help anyone who reaches out to me. So meaning I got to pull from different parts of myself. I'm not super compliance, but I know how to get the compliance stuff. I know how to get all that paperwork together. So knowing your audience, and it could be an audience of one.
Absolutely. Know your audience and that's the whole point of it. Adjusting your style. You're saying with your little grandson, your granddaughters. Yesterday, I had to have a talk with my 6-year-old grandson because his mom and dad said he wasn't listening. And I had to get down to his level. I wasn't standing. I sat on the couch and I brought him to me. I said, sit on my lap. And we had a conversation. And I was nodding and talking to him. And he said, yes, Mimi, I understand. And I let him go. You have to learn to adjust. So it's absolutely amazing for the family environment as well. People need to feel that they're seen, valued, and heard. Employees will show up better when they feel seen, valued, and heard. Their opinion counts. Just because you're the leader, that doesn't mean you dictate. You show
Absolutely.
empathy when you need to. Empathy.
And we've definitely seen and heard you today, Miss Merlin. I think you dropped so many golden nuggets, so many golden bars. If you want to explore this more, please reach out to Miss Merlin. So where can people find you? How do they reach you? I know you've got some new fans and friends. How do people connect with you?
They can connect with me here on LinkedIn. And I'm trying to find that link with my I will put them in the chat. They could connect with me on all the different platforms, and I'm going to put them here in the chat for them. So it's all of them. So I hope it's not too much.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you so much. I love the golden nuggets that you shared with us. And I love that this is a continuous conversation. It's not something we take and then diagnose and move it and go on. Like you said, we have to apply it. So if you got some value from this, please, as we put Miss Merlin back into the green room, I know they've got some snacks and nibbles in there for you. Please put in your comments, what did you pick up? What did you like? What did you learn? What do you want to know more about? I want to bring you value. I want to help you to grow. We're in this journey together. I am never talking at you. I'm here with you. I'm in the learning process too. Listen, I'm 60 years old and I feel like I'm just getting started. Okay. Don't believe me, just watch. And you know what? Talking about DISC just reminds me is how do we treat each other? How do we interact with our family? How do we interact with our employees if we're an employer? How do we act with our other team members? How do we act in society? I actually had quick story, left my car lights on yesterday, and so I had to call AAA. And I was in a rush, so it was very inconvenient. Okay, so let me just put it that way. And so I'm on the phone trying to get things done. And the young man came up, he says, okay, first, we have to diagnose your battery. And I'm like, diagnose my battery, dude. I just want you to turn on my car. Okay. He's like, no, ma'am. We have to diagnose your battery. Okay. So he came. Oh, see, first thing, there's some corrosion. We have to get it off of there. We have to fix it all up. That's going to take me about 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm on the clock here, dude. Okay. All right. 5 minutes. Okay. Get on the phone, Leah, make some phone calls. Okay. We've got all the corrosion cleaned up. And now I'm going to do the diagnosis. Said, don't worry though, ma'am. That only takes us about another 5 minutes. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I need to get going here. Okay. But let me share with you. By the end, he'd done a full diagnostics on my battery, assured me that I was well taken care of. My car would start. He'd maybe turn it off, turn it back on, turn it back off, turn it back on, made sure that I was okay. And you know what? Here's the thing. Sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. What if he had just said, you know what? Let me go ahead, power up your car, send me off, and then I turn it off, and then 5 minutes later, I'm stuck again. That was my lesson. I always talk about the leadership lesson of the day with my precious grandson. That was my leadership lesson of the day. Sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. So let me ask you a question. And then I wrote him an amazing Google review because you know me, I'm all about Google reviews. I'm on my quest for level 7. If you're a business owner, reach out to me. I would love to review your business. So my question to you is, where do you need to slow down in life? What are the things that you need to take more care of? Maybe you need to slow down and take a DISC assessment. Maybe you need to slow down and really reevaluate the DISC assessment you've already had. Maybe there's some conversations you need to have. Maybe we need to look at the people that we're interacting with and what their personality types are and how can we better serve them. I think today was an incredible conversation. I really, my intention is to bring you value. I really hope that this brought you value. Share them with somebody you believe that can benefit from this. And remember, if you're here, it's because you're the one in your family. That's right. It's a big, heavy job. But you're the one in your family that's supposed to change your family's last name forever. Your wealth today should be your dynasty tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Wealthy Wednesday.
High-achieving entrepreneurs and business owners, this is for you. There's a powerful wealth strategy most business owners were never told about. Because traditional retirement plans were designed for entrepreneurs, that's where the Solo 401k comes in. The Solo 401k was built specifically for self-employed business owners, and here's why it matters. As both the employee and the employer, you can often contribute significantly more than a traditional IRA. That means accelerating your wealth, not waiting decades to access it. You may also have the ability to borrow from your Solo 401k, accessing your own capital without banks, without begging, without delays. And unlike most retirement accounts, you're not limited to Wall Street. A Solo 401k can allow investments in real estate, precious metals, and even Bitcoin. This isn't about chasing a rate of return. It's about control, flexibility, and intentional strategy. If you're an entrepreneur who wants their money working as hard as they do, download my free Solo 401k guide and subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. Learn more by visiting leahgarcia.io, because this is how you build wealth on purpose. Wealth today, dynasty tomorrow.